Now back. I can't stop thinking. Okay, now back in those days when you were dating, what red flags made you think twice about going out or going out again with a girl?
Joshua, you start.
I don't know. I think for me, it was just as basic as there was nothing. We didn't have enough in common. You could literally, the situation was crickets half the time. When you quickly find out you have very little in common, like especially if you go out on a either a blind date or it's someone's friend that you know a little about, but or at least you know how they're related to your friends, but you don't really know the person. Or it could be as, like, for example, it's someone in your circle, but you don't know much about that person to begin with, and then you find out there is very little in common between you two. Or if she didn't like what I was interested in, for example, you bring up a topic and she just goes, yeah, and you quickly, and your mind's racing at 1,000,000 miles per hour, going like, okay, next topic, because that you want to be able to, because part of back then was the art of you wanted to be able to master the art of conversation. You don't want a lull, an awkward lull or silence
And
between you two.
especially radio announcers, dead air is the worst.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
think of it that way.
No
As a
dead
radio
air, no dead
announcer,
air.
no dead air during
Yeah.
the date. Yeah.
And yeah, there was always like, that's something social media's helped out. I'll have to say a lot with you. You get a lot of that groundwork done about what the person is kind of like, because obviously it's still going to be a filtered, persona. But at least you get to sort of see certain things, etc. So you've broken that ice. The question was what red flags?
Yeah.
Excessive, let's say, drinking. Like if we were, that would for me be a little bit of a turn off, because I really hate to judge anyone, but if you are, like on your first date, he or she, but in this case we're talking about guys and girls, right? Gets rotten drunk and sloppy. You can't help but think, okay, is this for everyone? I mean, is this like, will this happen to anyone she dates or sees for the first time? It leaves me with a sense of, okay, that's a red flag for me. If your question is red flags, that's definitely one of them. Definitely the one about talking about your ex, that like you mentioned in your list, definitely that's a red flag for me. It just goes to show that she's definitely not over or bitter or maybe a little crazy. So that's not a good idea. What else? I think anything when you start, red flags for me are any topics that are too controversial. Let's say you want to dive straight into politics or religion on the first date. That's a red flag for me. Because,
Really?
Well, I just find it a little too confrontational. I think you get to know each other first before you bring up those topics, because I would think, and I can only speak for me, right? I would feel that, okay, this is a person that imposes their opinion on other people, because most people know, I think by now, religion and politics are definitely no-nos in civil conversation, especially when you're just doing chit-chat. You're doing your first date, you're in cocktail parties, you're doing small talk. Never talk about things like that, because they're polarizing, they're highly charged with don't.
Yeah.
So those are mine.
You have to agree with that, because like even with my wife, we've been together for a couple of decades already. You assume you know way too much about each other already, in a good way. I mean, but politics and, especially politics, that can still be very, as you mentioned,
Even
electorally
now?
charged. Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, I know
I
a
mean,
lot of-
we respect each other's opinion, but it's also a recipe for us to get into a heated debate.
May I ask?
So we
obviously
try to well, I guess we not tread carefully, but we try to be very respectful. But sometimes it can be helped that you
Are you
heatedly
guys
disagree.
on two different camps? It sounds like it.
Not everything. Some issues.
Issues.
Some personalities. Or more on certain personalities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are okay. All right. Zach, at home we're all it's a dictatorship at home. So everybody votes who I vote for. Otherwise, they don't get fed. Sounds horrible. But no, I mean, really, I come home sometimes.
That sounds reasonable.
And I'll blow my stack about something, and it's just a sea of absolutely clueless faces, and I say that with all the love in the world because I admire them. I'm envious of them because they just don't care, and that's why they're so happy.
Yeah.
They're so happy. Like I come home and I say, "Did you hear what happened to the blah 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 blah?" And it's just like, all right, chicken or beef?
I was about to say, oh, we're having chicken for dinner.
Yeah, chicken for and I'm like, no wonder they all look younger than me. No wonder they're so happy. They don't get involved.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, they actually, I love it. My kids still use social media for social stuff, like for like happy stuff. That they haven't experienced yet. That that the toxicity of social media.
Yes.
Because that's great. So as long as they can live, as long as even my wife, she's like that. She's not up to date with the day-to-day politics and stuff. And that's, I think, the secret to her happiness and youth.
So if you guys were able to have any, I'm not going to say you didn't have any successful dates, but how do you know when chemistry?
We obviously did.
Yeah, you obviously you're married. Doy. How did you know that you have chemistry with one person that you dated? How do you know? How do you know if you have chemistry?
It's as I don't know, trivial or stereotypical as you. The day's done, but I'd like to go out with you again. There, it's as simple as that. You just kind of know. You want to get to know the person a little more.
It's a feeling, man. There is
it's
nothing. Yeah, you can't say, oh, if this happened, that means no. It's a feeling. That's what makes it so special. It's the butterflies in the stomach. It's the why can't you stop thinking about that person. That's what makes you want to go back. That's what chemistry is. So,
well, if she looks like Catriona Gray, well,
yeah,
sure,
true.
There's got to be a second date there.
Catriona Gray, James?
Yeah.
And the silver linings?
Yeah, she just came out. Her boyfriend just came out, right, with a story about why they... I thought it was very... he basically exonerated her from... Because she was getting a little bit of heat from the public. They were saying, oh, just because she became Miss Universe that she dumped her boyfriend.
Yeah.
The boyfriend wrote something very very nice. He said the problem was pretty much on his side, and he wishes nothing but he's so happy that she became Miss Universe because there would be nobody better, blah, 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 blah.
That's a man right there.
Yeah, it was a real... no, it was very... Actually, it was a very open letter. He was really delving deep. He wasn't like... just glossing over saying, it was my fault. No, he was like specifically mentioning why it was his fault and, but not in a negative, horrible way. It was more like, this is what I learned,
Wow.
And, and they broke up before coronation night, so.
Oh.
Yeah, he cleared that up too.
Okay.
They just didn't announce anything.
Man-made.